Hey, what's up, everyone? Mike Singer, blueandgold.com, joined on the call with Patrick Engel, our beat writer here at Blue and Gold, to talk about new Notre Dame offensive line commit, Rocco Spindler from Clarkston, Michigan. Man, this is the commit that Notre Dame fans have been waiting for such a long time. His recruitment really came down to Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Was also a finalist, so was LSU and Penn State, but it's really been a Michigan Notre Dame battle for about 2 years, really. And the Fighting Irish pulled off the huge recruiting win, 6'5", about 300-pound offensive guard, number 56 player in the country, number 3 guard, and number 3 player in the state of Michigan. Patrick, you've been covering Notre Dame at Blue and Gold for about 3 months now, and your interaction with Notre Dame fans, just how huge of a recruiting win is this for the Fighting Irish?
Well, considering this has been, one of just a couple of guys that everybody's had their focus on, yeah, it's a pretty big deal. And with just kind of hearing all of the, Michigan Notre Dame, battle for, like you said, really going back a year plus, and just all of the, I don't want to say hype, but just magnitude of what a player of his level would bring to a class. That's a big deal. And suspense is over. Rocco Spindler is committed to Notre Dame. Yeah, he's as good as it would advertise.
Yeah.
And you see the just kind of easy athleticism and mobility at that size, like you said, 6'5" and 300 pounds, which already there, at least the height and the length of a good college or NFL type prospect guard, just as far as when you look at him and kind of what he can fill out to be. And you can see the easy power, just pushing guys backward or shoving them aside, just using his arms alone, and the lower body strength to back up in pass protection and kind of hold his ground, even when he's blocking defensive ends and big defensive tackles, and mobile enough as a guard and a puller to get to the second level and knife through traffic and not get caught up and get to second level defenders and to clear them out of the way pretty quickly. So definitely what you look for when you're thinking of getting prototype college guards, especially in an offense that likes to run the ball like Notre Dame does. So certainly fits the I guess, yeah, for lack of a better term, the hype and the suspense of what Rocco Spindler would mean for Notre Dame, and certainly someone that moves the needle as far as how good a future offensive line can be down the road. What an ability to keep continuing to churn out guys into the pros. You've got to recruit guys who are coming in at a certain level, and they've certainly done that. And Rocco's the latest.
This commitment's huge for a number of reasons for me, Patrick. Certainly the talent, which I'll discuss here in a second, but the momentum of the 2021 class. This is now a half dozen commitments. Well, that's including the 2022, but just recruiting momentum in general. So looking at half dozen commitments in a 3-week span. The just offensive line and offensive recruiting in general. There was a couple months ago, Notre Dame fans being complaining, oh, we haven't had a commitment in so long on offense. Tommy Rees and Jeff Quinn, they don't know what they're doing. Well, just chill, be patient. Come on. Now Notre Dame's offensive line class is filled out. Still could be potentially one more guy if Nolan Rucci would join the class. I'm certainly sure Notre Dame would love to still add him in there. But so the momentum, that's huge. Beating Michigan for a guy in their backyard, that's huge. So that recruiting win is huge. Beating, again, defending national champs, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. I don't think you consider Penn State a Midwest school, but those Big Ten powers, you beat out those other Midwest powers. You beat out. That's huge. There's really a lot here. The perception that's big. Rounding out the class, that's big with other recruits. does this help someone like Donovan Edwards? You know, Notre Dame's got Logan Diggs committed at running back, but you know, like with Rucci, if Donovan Edwards wants in, that's going to be a guy that's hard to turn down. So does Rocco Spindler committing like help someone like Donovan Edwards look at, man, I know Blake Fisher really well. Donovan's visited Notre Dame and spent time with Blake, and they have a good connection. And Pat Coogan's another offensive lineman who Donovan hears from regularly. So it's like, man, I got Pat, and I know these three guys well. So that helps. And obviously the talent. 3 words to describe Rocco Spindler's game. I think that you can sum up what kind of lineman he is. Big, tough, and strong. I've been covering recruiting for 7 years now. I've never seen this much hype from fan base and media about a guard. And if this Rocco Spindler kid really is like Quentin Nelson level, then it's certainly deserved hype. But when I watch his tape, he's huge, he's super strong, and he's tough as nails. I don't even think his technique has reached close to how good it can be. And I really mean that as a compliment. So, Mike, you don't think he's, that good? No, I think he's really good. I just think he can get so much better. His floor is really high as a prospect. Even if things don't work out at guard with him, his dad, Mark Spindler, played in the NFL for 8 years, was a 3rd-round draft pick as a defensive tackle. Spindler is a really good defensive lineman too, so I certainly think he'll continue to play the interior offensive line in college. But that he can play D tackle, and his ceiling when he gets coached up and gets in that college strength and conditioning program, the sky is really the limits for this kid. I think he might follow suit of his dad and be a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round draft pick, be an NFL guy. This is a huge commitment for Notre Dame for multiple reasons. The top of the list is got to be, for as good as a player he is and how much this means to class rankings and all that stuff, the perception is just what this means for everything going on. This is just so huge for the Notre Dame community to win that recruitment. I can't state that enough. And I love him as a player, but just how much this must mean for the here and now, it's just huge. To beat out Michigan, all those things I said, it's just a big recruiting win.
Kind of illustrates where, even though you can look at the last few months and see, all right, look at the just rankings and kind of trajectory of the class, it's certainly not going to be that top 5 kind of thing that Brian Kelly teased and got a lot of attention on back in the winter and around the last couple of signing days. But kind of a reminder of where the floor really is for Notre Dame too. Still being able to, one way or another, or however it comes together, get a class that finishes in the top 15 or ish pretty safely every year. And you can certainly want to see, aspire to see more. But if that's your floor, which it has seemed to be the last few years, that's pretty good. And we've seen a lot of them add, the recent run of commitments have been guys who were offered later, couldn't visit in any kind of normal capacity, offered since the dead period started in March. This one, obviously, Spindler had been a target for a couple of years. He'd been on campus before. And so it was kind of one of those things where you don't have too many of those kind of recruitments left, really, where, it's been a kid you've been recruiting long enough and you've been able to get on campus, the multiple times. And to be able to, when that's a thing that you had going for you and others had going for you, to be able to pull that off is also a big deal.
Big recruiting win for Notre Dame. If you like this video, or even if you didn't like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube if you're listening via podcast format. Please leave us a 5-star review. That'd be greatly appreciated.